Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. I'm joined again by Sava. We did a live stream last week. Today's a video because this morning I did a City preview with the MCFC Tone. Make sure you go check that out if you've not already done so. Make sure you are subscribed to Football Heritage TV. Today we're going to be focusing on the top 6 fixtures this weekend. It's a massive weekend of football, of course, and then it's got the winter break. So this is kind of like the last sort of chance for a team to sort of make a jump and maybe catch another team. Sava, how are we doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, good, man. Good. We're winning the transfer window again every summer. Every January we win the transfer window. So, no. I'm good. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, cool. Right, let's start off with your team then, man. So we'll work our way up, yeah? Because I want to do this. I sort of do the top 5 because we're sort of like, I think after Tottenham, there's a bit of a gap, isn't there, to West Ham? So
yeah.
You guys, like us, actually, at a similar time, went through a little bit of a dip, but you sort of, as we have done as well, you sort of fought it back. This is a huge game this weekend. It's at Old Trafford. Just give me your sort of thoughts, just off the rip, about this. Do you think you can get the winner?
Look, I mean, historically, going to Old Trafford has always been one where you go, oh God, I don't want to play Man United at Old Trafford. I don't think many fans have that feeling anymore. So I think you go there with a little bit more of a, well, why not? But without belittling them, without going completely over the top and we're going to batter them. Why can't we go there and win? I think they've got tools that will hurt us with our high line, with players like Rashford and Garnacho. I think we've got tools that will hurt them throughout our team. I think it all depends which Spurs you're going to get. The Spurs I've been seeing for the last 8-9 games has been, listen, injuries, yes, suspensions, yes, but it's been very hit and miss as to, do we get the Spurs that play that lovely, forgive me, I hate these sayings, of Ange ball? Are we getting that Spurs? Or are we getting the Spurs that got battered by Brighton? Are we getting the Spurs that weren't very good against Everton and Bournemouth but scraped over the line with a win? Are we getting the Spurs against Burnley who looked toothless but won? So, look, I don't know. Our away form has been brilliant on the most part for the last 4 games. Started to tail off a little bit with only 1 away win in 4 against Forest. But this isn't a great Man United team.
Yeah. You know what it is for me, bro? It's like, if I look at the teams just on their own, I probably say I expect sort of Tottenham to get a result here. But I feel like you're going to play into United's hands. I think you'll dominate the ball. You'll press them. You'll have the ball. You'll play the better football. And they'll probably just get you on the counter-attack like they do to everyone. Like they did to Aston Villa when Aston Villa went 2-0. Just get them on the counter-attack and then end up scoring. I think for me, this is going to show me 2 things. One, how clinical is your side? You're going to have to be clinical, because I think I'd be surprised if I come away from the game, regardless of what score it is, I'd be surprised if I come away from the game thinking anything other than Tottenham with a better side, right? Yeah. But you've got to be clinical in these sort of games. You've got to put these guys away. And then obviously if you do take the lead, then it's all about in-game management. You know, it's a big game. Obviously the Old Trafford crowd is going to be putting a lot of pressure on them United players to get back into it. And obviously you have a couple of players missing, which I wanted to touch on as well here. So talk us through this. Maddison, is he going to be available for this game?
They've talked about him being back in full training. For me, I listen, I feel like it's a game too early, but we keep doing this at the moment. We keep getting these really long injuries, and then from nowhere, weeks and weeks and weeks before they're meant to be back, it's so-and-so's playing. And you're like, whoa, hang on, where did that come from? So I'm going to say no. I think he's been out far too long to just chuck him in for an away game at Old Trafford, for me.
Okay, yeah. So bring him back for the City match then, is basically what you're saying.
I mean, you can do, but I'd even then have my worries, because playing against a team like City that will make you chase the ball because they like to keep it, do you want to play players that aren't 100% fit and can press? I'm not sure. So that's an interesting conundrum with James Maddison for the next 2 games.
Okay. Talk us through some of these other ones. Obviously, some of these are AFCON and Asian Cup, so we know the situation there. What about Romero? He's obviously very important for you. Says here that 25% chance. Have you heard anything on Romero? Is he going to be back?
All the reports coming out this week are that Christian Romero's in full training again. It was quite interesting, right? So Dragoshin, who we signed, I'm told that's how you say it, Dragoshin, who we signed earlier this week. The same day we got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. a report came out about an hour later saying Christian Romero has declared himself fit for the weekend. And you're like, hang on, we signed a centre half, and now all of a sudden your really long injury has just disappeared. So another one, I reckon he'll be in the squad. But I mean, how many players that are 50-50 can you play at once? It doesn't matter who the opposition. You can't be carrying 3 or 4 players that are half injured. You just can't.
Yeah. Listen, for me, like I said to you, I think you'll probably play the better. You'll probably have the better game. It's all about, do you put your chances away? Obviously, no Son. I know Richarlison's been scoring a few goals of late, and obviously Werner could come in and slam. Who knows? It's just about being clinical. I think if you're clinical, you'll probably win the game. But if you're not, you don't really take your chances. You maybe only score 1 out of a bunch of chances. I just feel like United will hit you on the break. And this is what Ten Hag does, man. He gets beaten all these crappy games, and then as soon as he plays like an important match, he gets a result. Chelsea, Aston Villa. And again, you know, this suits him because he's basically playing ollie ball. So I think it's going to be a super interesting game. And for both teams, it's a massive result because, of course, you're pushing top 4. You know, I think we've had this discussion last week. We'll go for it again. I think you're in a title race because you're only 6 points off at the top. It's a massive game. And if Tottenham can win this, then surely the confidence for the top 4 alone is going to be increased. I know United are not the best side, but it's got to do good wonders for the confidence, hasn't it?
Yeah, listen, I think it doesn't matter how good or bad Man United are. Going away to Old Trafford is never easy. You've got to pick up the points. We've seen teams had varied success there this year. You've seen Chelsea go there, and lose. You've seen Villa go there and lose. But then you've seen Bournemouth go there and batter them. You know, you've seen City go there and batter. Oh, you would expect that from Man City, but you've seen Brighton went there and played them off the park as well. So I think it's dangerous when you've got a club that are so up and down. It's very easy to sit there and go, "Oh, they're rubbish. We're going to batter them." I think you hit the nail on the head. With Tottenham, a lot of it is about how clinical we are. Obviously, when Harry Kane was there, you didn't have this worry. We knew, give the chances to Harry Kane, that boy is going to finish his dinner. Yeah. Sonny, not to as big a degree for me, anywhere near Kane, but you know he can finish his dinner. You look at that front three that's going to be playing on Sunday. It could either be revolutionary or awful. You've got Brennan Johnson. It looks like it's going to be Johnson, Richarlison, Werner. A lot of pace. Is there the finesse there? Is there you got half a chance, you fancy someone to take a touch and bury it? I'm not sure. But
when them 3 players come to mind, sort of clinical is not the word that sort of stands out.
Right, but that's for them to step up to the plate, and if they're playing, one of them has got to be, because then as well you wouldn't have James Maddison, who is a clinical, whether it's finishing or through balls or whatever it may be. You've lost that as well. So, look, going to the how important is this game? Look, as you said, we won't get into this. I don't believe we're in a title race, but I believe we're on the coattails of those that are. And at the moment, we're 6 points off the top. You lose this game and Liverpool win their game, it's 9. And I think then you can stop talking about titles, because I think
I will.
If you go 9 points, right, I think you're then looking at, right, with 17, they'll have 17 games left each after that. In 17 games, you've got to say that Spurs have got to win 3 more games than what Liverpool do in the last 17. That's a big swing. So if Spurs win 14, Liverpool will only win 11. It's a big swing.
No, I hear you on that. And that's why I think it's such, exactly. And it's a massive game for United as well, because I think they could find themselves like 10th or 11th if results go a certain way this weekend. So, I mean, and then surely he's going to get the sack. But yeah, listen, guys, get me your comments in down below about Spurs. Yeah, do you think they're in a title race? They're only 6 points off the top at the moment. But of course, Sava just pointed out that if they lose this weekend, it could be 9, and then surely that's it. Do you think they could get in the top 4? And if they do get in the top 4, who's dropping out? Liverpool, City, Aston Villa, or Arsenal? Good questions. Get me comments in down below. Make sure you are hitting that like button. Right, let's move it up the table. We're going to talk now about Arsenal. They're at home to Crystal Palace. It's an early kickoff, which sometimes springs up some surprises. And of course, Arsenal in some shambolic form right now. 1 win in 7. Obviously, look at the fixtures here. They got beat 2-0 off Liverpool. They got beat 2-1 off Fulham, 2-0 off West Ham. So 3 defeats in a row as well, which is really quite poor. They got a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. They did beat Brighton 2-0. The only win in the last 7. A 1-1 draw to PSV. And of course, they got beat 1-0 back in December off Aston Villa. So horrific form. Let's get it right, Sava. But this is an interesting game because on paper, I think Elise might be out for this as well. I'm not 100% sure on that one. They're at home. This is a game that they'd be expected to win, but it is 12:30 kickoff. And if they don't win, then I think serious questions are going to be asked about this Arsenal team.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you could, the games below that I thought were really telling as well. Like you've got on paper, if you are Arsenal right now and somebody said, right, you've got 2 games to try and kickstart your season again, Palace and Forest, on paper, and I know it's not played on paper, you'd say, yeah, we'll take that. Problem is, Forest have got a mini revival going under, I can't believe it, under Nuno. Nuno's doing them proud. Crystal Palace are a funny team. They are one of these teams where they either get battered or they go and bust a coupon on the betting. They are that sort of team. They I remember them picking up wins against Liverpool when they weren't meant to, against City when they weren't meant. Look, Arsenal at home, having a couple of weeks rest from their last game no excuses there, right? There can't be any excuses if they don't win that game. So I think they will. I think they've got to win that and Forest because the game after that is Liverpool, right? So I think they've got to win that. I think Arteta is going to be in serious trouble if they don't win their next 2 games. If they don't win their next game, I think they're completely out of any form. By the way, I'm just for the purpose of this chat, I don't think they're in a title race. You know my opinion on them. I've never thought they're good enough for it. But I think this would, for me, again, if Liverpool were to win their game against Bournemouth and Arsenal lose this game, the points gap for them would be 8. And again, I can't see Arsenal doing 3 better than Liverpool. So,
no, I think that's fair. I do. I think that's a fair comment. I mean, these are Palace's away games.
right.
So, you've got a win there, opening day of the season, Sheffield United, draw Brentford. They beat Plymouth in the Cup, beat 3-1 off Villa, but that's no shame. 3-0 off Man United. Then they won in the Premier League, which is, I guess, probably more important to some people. A big tank in here away at Newcastle. 2-0 against Burnley, 2-1 loss against Luton, 1-1 against West Ham, 2-2 against Man City, and then a narrow 2-1 loss. So the last couple of games, I mean, if you look at this, even the games that they've lost, I mean, they're really disappointed that the loss against Luton, but it wasn't like they got battered. They just got beat 2-0.
Other than the anomaly there that is Newcastle, every single one of those games, other than their 2-0 win, is by 1 goal or a draw.
Yeah.
Listen. I think that the problems at Arsenal, we all know the problems at Arsenal. They're not clinical.
Yeah.
Last year, they had all 4 of their forwards in terms of Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Jesus, all chipped in with, I believe, 14 or 15 goals each. That is not always going to happen every year. You're not always going to have 4 players that are bang on form. And the one thing that I said this the other day on Judge Mo's channel, that the problem is when that's happening, it's great. You can get away with a recognised striker. When it's not happening, straight away, you look at a club and go, this is why you need a forward. City can play badly. Erling Haaland will tuck one away. Yeah. For years, Spurs played badly. Harry Kane would tuck one away. And you go, God, we didn't deserve that, but that's why we've got a number 9. Arsenal, chance after chance after chance, should be blowing teams like Palace away, but there's something not right there. And I'll be surprised if Arteta is their manager next season.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance he goes. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Will they maybe just say, right, you got 1 more year, so you're out of contract at the end of the season. Let's see what he does. But now you're out on the forward line, and this is the thing about Gabby Jesus. He had the same issue at City. When your wingers, right, and your midfielders are chipping in with goals throughout the season, he's a great player to have in the team. He really, really is, because he brings so much in terms of his work rate, his hold-up play, his pressing. It's all great. But as soon as the wingers and as soon as your midfielders it don't even have to be a dramatic drop-off, which Arsenal sort of seen a dramatic drop-off. If you get even just a small drop-off, bang, you're in trouble because he misses too many chances. And the perfect example was the West Ham game, where he had 2 sitters, 2 headers, which any decent striker buries. I'm talking like really difficult headers. I'm talking pretty simple headers for a Premier League footballer. Put them both wide. He didn't even hit them on target. and he scores what them two, they at least get a point. That could be the difference come the end of the season. So I think that they are. Obviously, we're hearing rumours that they're going in for a striker. This Getafe bloke, I don't really know too much about him. 20-odd million quid.
I'll have a look at him.
Yeah, it's not particularly inspiring, but if that's who Arteta wants, then I guess that's what you got to go for. It's just if it doesn't work out, that's another 20-odd million pound wasted, because they have spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of money. You know, if you look at the likes of Havertz, for me, he's a waste of money. Look at Kivior, waste of money. Fabio Vieira, waste of money. You know, and there's probably more in there as well. You're talking 150 million quid in the last couple of years, wasted.
Look, I'll always say what I said about Arsenal. I know the Arsenal fans get really annoyed with me when I say this, but I don't say it from a point of view of they're my rivals, right? That they're my North London rivals. I say it from a football fan's point of view. When I look at Arsenal, and then I look at the other clubs that win things, there is a huge difference between having a good team, a very good team, and a team that gets over the line. There is a huge difference between, even if it's a small drop-off, even if it's okay, we've got Jesus who's a good player and Saka and Martinelli are good players, but are they as good as Man City's front three? Are they as good as Man City's options? You know, Arsenal fans talk a lot about, we'd have Saka over Foden, we'd have Saka over Bernardo Silva. Not for me in a million years. These are players that are consistent. These are players that even when they're not at their best, manipulate a game. They're involved in a game. These are players that have been there, seen it, done it. And Arsenal don't have that. Arsenal, throughout their 11, yes, Jesus and Zinchenko would have won titles with you lot, but they weren't, listen, I'm not knocking it, you need squad players, but they weren't the main driving force behind you winning it, right? Then you look at the rest of their team. Declan Rice, all right, he's won a Conference League, very different to winning a Premier League. Odegaard, if I'm not wrong, I don't think he's ever won anything massive. Saka and Martinelli would have been part of the FA Cup team, but there's a huge difference between winning a cup over 7 games and winning a league. Saliba, I'm not knocking these players. There's some good players in there, but is there any know-how? And what's worse is, for them, they don't have the guy on the touchline that can go, I've been here, don't worry about it. I'll talk you through this. I'll get you through this.
Exactly.
And City, no matter what spell City are in, they can all look around the dressing room and go, that's a leader. That's a leader. We're all winners. And most of all, they'll look at their manager and go, he's not going to panic. He's been there, seen it and done it. So that's the difference for me. I think if Arsenal are serious, if Arsenal want to be a big club, I think they need to get a better manager and they need to buy some real bits of, I use this term a lot lately for lots of clubs, some real bits of stardust. They really need to sprinkle that team with,
I agree.
I'm not talking about Havertz and Vieiras, and I'm talking about they need to go and buy some top players that you go, they mean business. So I think they're far away from winning the title. I really do.
Interesting. Again, guys, give us your thoughts this time on Arsenal in the comments section down below. Are they still in the title race? Are they in a top 4 race? Do you think they're seriously at risk of maybe dropping outside the top 4? And is this Arteta's last season? I want to come on to Manchester City now, and it's interesting you're talking about leaders. I want you to have a look at this, Sabah. I've seen it this morning. I think this sort of summarises exactly what you said. I'll read it out for the people that are maybe listening rather than watching. Nathan Ake said this morning. He said, we had the biggest get-together organised by the captains, and we had a good talk with each other. Not to hammer each other, but to be honest, that everyone has to look at themselves to see what we can do better, because this is not what we want. We want to win games and get the season going again, and we had to do it while there are still so many games to go. So the time was still there to do it, because we would rather have had the conversation than in 5 weeks when we could be even more points behind. We talked with each other about it to try to understand and make sure everyone was on the same page, that we don't just want to play the victim card of deflections or a difficult moment. Everyone was allowed to say whatever they wanted, and we picked it up. For me, I seen this morning. I was like, you know what? This is exactly. I said, City players have elite mentality. This is it. City, when we was going through that bad period, by the way, which wasn't even as bad as people made out. It was 1 win in 6, which doesn't look good. But look at the teams that we played. We only lost 1. But even so, the players, the captains, they got all the players together and said, this is not acceptable. This is what we do in here. And this, for me, is why I think City will win the league again, is because we have winners in this squad.
Yeah.
And whenever they recognise, and they did the same last year, Pep Guardiola called it out last year. Yeah.
After we beat you.
Yeah, exactly. He called it out last year.
Yeah.
And this is the situation with this team. And this is why I think we'll win the league again, is because these players recognise what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. When it's not acceptable, they'll call each other out on it. And again, like Ake said, it's not slandering each other. It's saying we're here to win football matches and win titles. And this level of performance is not good enough. And since that, we've started winning again. I'm starting to see my Manchester City team back. What do you think about sort of those comments and that sort of leadership?
I mean, listen, I'll get accused of twerking for Man City, whatever that means. But listen, I've said this for years, LB, right? Even before you and I started working together, I've said this for years. Kind of piggybacking off what I just said about Arsenal, the difference between having winners in your team, winners in your coaching staff, winners in your manager, know-how, the ability to get over the line, the ability to deal with difficult situations, people that have been there, seen it and done it and say, hang on, we've been down here before, we know how to get out, right? We've been down here before, we know how to get out. And for me, that is why Man City, I don't think I've changed since the beginning of the season, LB, have I? I've not changed from day one. I've said Man City will win this league, Liverpool finish second. Man City, for me, they have the best talent. Now, that alone doesn't always win you things, but it's the mentality of those players with talent. We're not talking about a team of Galacticos that are being put together, but there's no work rate. There's no ethos. We're talking about players that Pep doesn't pick bad players in his 11. And Pep doesn't pick people that don't run through brick walls for him. So it's not like you're just a bunch of fancy Dans that play nice football and everyone goes, oh, they're nice to watch, but they don't work hard. You work hard. Pep made all these other teams that are now doing this, playing out from the back, pressing. Pep brought that over it. Pep started that, right? And for me, I look at the options that you've got. I'm not saying you've got the biggest squad, but the options to rotate, the options of versatility. I just think it's so much better than everybody else's. It's so much better than everyone else's. Whoever beats you will thoroughly deserve it. If anyone beats you to this title, they will thoroughly deserve it because you've got a great squad, a great manager. You play the best football. And for me, as much as everyone wanted to say you were in bad form, I looked at the form. We talked about this, I don't know, earlier this week, one day. I don't know, all the days merge into one when you're YouTubing.
Yeah, I know.
You've lost 1 in 18.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to say to any manager, you're going to lose one game every 18, any manager in world football will go, yep. We'll have that. 1 in 18. You've won 8 of the last 9 in all competitions. You're averaging 3.1 goals a game for the last 8 games without the world's best finisher. I think it's ominous. And I think that this is exactly what I was saying to everybody that had a go at me and said, oh, this year isn't the same as last year. City will do what City do. It's the turn of the year. The screw will go in and you'll start to see lots more convincing wins. And I hope I haven't put the mockers on you for your team of the week.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. The last loss that we had was Aston Villa. Before that, you have to go back to 10th of what's that? It's the 8th of October, I think it is. Or is it the... Yeah, the 8th of October, bloody hell. I always get confused with the dates, whether it's American or not. But yeah, even when we're in crisis, I mean, look at the teams that we drop points to. These are not the worst teams in the division. I mean, Chelsea away, 4-4, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Villa. And then obviously the only anomaly there really is the Palace one. I mean, I know Chelsea, people say, well, you're about Chelsea the 10th. Yeah, but Chelsea on the day are a decent side on the day. They just don't have many days, and our defence was crumbled. The point is that the games we dropped points to, other than that Palace one, I don't think any of that is embarrassing. I don't think any of that is shameful, is it really?
No, look. I think the thing is, it's you can't. Speaking purely from a City point of view, you guys can't have another spell like that. I don't think you'll be able to, because I don't think Liverpool, for me, they won't get beaten a lot. This is going to be the difference. I think you've got to win your game, and purely forget that I'm Spurs. I'm just talking from a football fan point of view. I want to make that very clear. You've got to win your game against Newcastle this weekend to go 2 points behind them, and you're level on games. Then if I was to say to you, with 17 games of the season left, you'll have 18. With 18 games of the season left, you're 2 points off the top. You wouldn't bite my hand off for that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you're
Right.
right. Here's the thing about this weekend to finish off before we move on to Aston Villa. You win this game against Newcastle, which I think is going to be very tricky. I know people keep on saying no, they're rubbish at the moment, but their first 11 that they can put out on Saturday is still very, very strong, and they'll be up for this game. If you win this game, look at the fixtures after that: Burnley at home, Brentford away, who've fallen off, Everton at home, Chelsea at home, Bournemouth away, Man United at home before you play Liverpool on the 9th of March. In my opinion, Sav, if we beat this Newcastle side on Saturday, it would not surprise me. And in fact, Nate, I would be disappointed if we don't win every game after that up until that Liverpool game.
I think if you beat Newcastle, I think the next 6 after that make it 7 wins in 7, plus what you've already won. Could do me a favour. Could you go up just a tiny bit? I just want to see how many Premier League games have you won in a row at the moment?
I think it's 2.
Okay, so you've won 2. You're on 3 of your last 4. Right. Okay, so 3 of your last 4. If you win your next 7, that means you would have won 10 out of 11. That's when you get to title form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying there's not possibility you drop a point and you can still go, drop 2 points, you can still go in the league. It all depends on what Liverpool do. It all depends. One thing Liverpool will go, Liverpool are piling up with fixtures. Liverpool are piling up with fixtures in terms of another League Cup semi-final, possibly the League Cup final. I say possibly, I think they're going to do Fulham. That's 2 more games.
Mm-hmm.
They got the Europa League knockout stages. They got the FA Cup as well. So it's going to be, I think, as I said, all season, I think you and Liverpool will pull away from the rest. And I think then it's going to be an interesting third, fourth, fifth battle between Tottenham, Aston Villa and Arsenal. I don't think anyone else can creep in. I just think West Ham have lost their front 3, by the way. So I don't think anyone else can creep into it at this stage.
No, I'm with you. And that's sort of why I started off on the Spurs on this whole video, because I just think West Ham are just a little bit too low. And without Paqueta, I think he's out for 6 weeks. They're now.
Kudos at the African Cup of Nations. I think Bowen's just got a little injury.
I think he has. Yeah, exactly. So they're at a bit of a tough time at the moment, West Ham, which is probably not a shame for you, but like it's a bit of a shame for football because they're doing such a good job. Like, you know what I mean? And anyway, let's move it on. Let's go on to Aston Villa. Find themselves in second, and I've got to say I got this completely wrong. I got Aston Villa completely wrong before the season. My prediction was that they were going to do a Brighton. And not quite do as well as maybe some people thought. And Brighton are still doing well. They're in 7th, but I've seen some people maybe saying they could push forward into 6th, maybe make a run at the Champions League. I just didn't think they had the squad for it, and we've seen that at times. Brighton have struggled to get wins. Now, to be fair, they've not lost a lot of games. But if we come on to Aston Villa, Emery's doing such a great job. Ollie Watkins right now is on absolute fire. They are in a title race. There's absolutely no denying that. They're only 3 points behind Liverpool. They had a bit of a wobble, didn't you? I think maybe they only won 1 game in 3 or 1 game in 4 or something like that. But as you can see
it there. You can see it there. It was only 2 games where they wobbled. It was only Man United and Sheffield United, because the Sheffield United game was the game for me that was really telling. At home, Sheffield United were bottom, and you're thinking to yourself, hang on. If Villa win this here, and that for me, again, it's that pressure of can you get over the line? Mm-hmm. That should have been, I reckon, if that wasn't a game to go top at the time, I don't know if you remember a few Fridays ago.
Yeah, it was,
If that wasn't a game to go top, if that was a normal game to go 3rd or 4th,
on
Saturday afternoon, I think it's 4-5-0.
Yeah, absolutely. But absolutely.
Everyone in the world was watching Aston Villa going, like, I'll be honest, I said, 3-0. This will be 3-0.
Yeah, most people did, yeah.
And they choked and they scored like in the 90, didn't they score like in the last minute or 95th minute or something?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right.
Good team, Villa. Very good team. Again, know-how, depth, sustainability. Have they got it? It's hard to say because we've not seen them. We've not seen them or Spurs or Arsenal ever do it. Mm-hmm. We've not seen. I'm not talking about Arsenal back in 2004. I'm talking about in the recent times.
Yeah.
We've not seen those 3 teams do it. We've seen Liverpool do it, albeit with a different midfield and different forwards. But we've seen Liverpool do it. We've seen Man City do it. Mm-hmm. Villa, Spurs, and Arsenal. For me, I'm putting them all in the same bracket because all got. Arteta's been there 4 or 5 years, but he's not an experienced manager. Whatever we want to say about it, 4.5 years of management isn't long, right? You don't get many title-winning managers that have been managing for 4.5 years. Emery, slightly different, very experienced manager, but much more on the cup side of things. Cup competitions within that country or European cup competitions. And then Spurs, I mean, our managers won a lot, but you could say not in Europe, not in the Premier League. So there's that factor that you put in. For me, I think Villa will be there or thereabouts. I think they will get top 4. I think they will. And I've got this horrible feeling from a Spurs fan point of view that it's going to be a bloody horrible race with Arsenal every week to, well, we're in front, they're in front, we're in front, they're in front, trying to get that 4th place. And I think if we get it, superb first year. If they don't get it, Arteta's got to be sacked. He's got to be.
Yeah, you know what? You know, before you were speaking about Arteta and saying that, like, because he's not won anything, maybe the players, paraphrasing here, but like the players don't fully believe because obviously, like say, when you need that inspiration, and obviously the City players are looking at Pep Guardiola, and the City players look at him and go, yeah, he'll get us through this. We might go through a tough patch, but they believe he'll get us through this. And obviously with Arteta, they don't. Do you think the Villa players, I know it's cup competitions mainly, but do you think the Villa players look at Emery and say, no, he can get us through this? You know, so when they had the 2 games which were disappointing results, do you think they would have been sitting there going, no, I believe that this guy's going to get us through this and he can lead us to top 4?
Oh, for top 4, for sure. Because listen, Unai Emery, whatever you want to say about him, this man just constantly proves doubters wrong. Constantly winning trophies. I mean, didn't he win, was it 4 out of 5 Europa Leagues in a row or something? Like, that's ridiculous. People go, oh, it's only Europa League. To win that competition year after year after year, relentless games, that's a magnificent achievement. Look, I saw the other day that in the last, in the whole of 2023, not the 22-23 season or 23-24, just the calendar year of 2023, the only manager that got more points than Aston Villa was Pep Guardiola. Now, from where he took Aston Villa from, weren't they bottom 3 or 4?
I think they were in the bottom. They were somewhere in the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, under Steven Gerrard. And he went there and everyone said, oh, new manager bounce. But the new manager didn't stop from October all the way through to May. Then they said this summer, yeah, but it was new manager bounce last year. Right? And then it didn't stop. Yeah, is this what I was talking about? Right?
Yeah, this is the 2023 annual table. Yeah.
Look at what a job he has done. 26 wins. The only teams that have lost less than him is Liverpool and Man City, who are the 2 best teams in the country. That is phenomenal. So that is absolutely phenomenal. In that time, he's conceded less goals than Arsenal, who everyone tells me are in a title race and should be winning titles. I don't believe that they've spent crazy money since he's been there.
No, there's not.
From what I can remember.
No.
Listen, this guy deserves absolute amazing praise, what he's done. If they get top 4, for me, he's got to be in the conversation for manager of the year. He's got to be. No one gave them a chance. So phenomenal job. Phenomenal job he's done.
No, I agree. He's doing a fantastic job. And if he does get top 4, I think you have to look at a lot of other clubs and say, how is this manager getting top 4 and you guys aren't? Because is he overachieving? I don't know. Potentially he is. But when you look at the 11, Sava, that's a solid 11. You know what I mean? You got the World Cup winner in net. You know, look at the back line. It's a strong back line. The midfield is very, very strong, and they've got workers in there. The forward line with Watkins. They've got the new guy, Diaby, who's come in. They've still got who's the Jamaican kid who they got?
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey, good player. You know what I mean? Yeah. So these guys, Aston Villa, over the period of about 5 years, have been accumulating these players, and they've not spent great deals, and they've got a great team.
Do you know what? I'm going to disagree with you slightly, but not in the way you would expect. For me, I don't think it is just about an 11. I think if you actually deep it at Aston Villa, they've got some depth.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that.
You look, right? They can play Digne or Moreno at left back. 2 very solid options there. Across the back, Konza, Mings, Diego Carlos, and now Longley as well has gone in as a 4th choice. Listen, by the way, Konza and Mings, for me, I was never really about them. But what a great job he's done with Konza and Mings in the last year. You then look in midfield. You look at that midfield there. The Dendonka and Kamara, that's a midfield without Tielemans.
Yeah.
That's a midfield without oh god, I'm missing one. Who am I missing?
Without
Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
You've then got Jacob Ramsey in there as well. And again, what they've done is they've accumulated this squad for me without any superstars, but solid pros that get on with it, that you can depend on. Like Tielemans. Say what you want about him. What a great squad option. What a great squad option. You know, Tielemans, Dendonka, John McGinn, Kamara in that midfield, Douglas Luiz. That's 5 very good centre mids. Then you've got Zaniolo, Leon Bailey, Diaby, Ramsey. Then you've got Watkins, Duran. The jury's out on him. I haven't really seen enough of him, but they've got options. And I think he's got a very good togetherness. Top manager, really, really top manager, but he doesn't play the sexy, attractive football people want, right? He doesn't play the progressive style that fans want. And that's why I think he's not at a bigger club. If I'm honest, I think he's a great manager.
Yeah, to finish off on Aston Villa, I'd just say I think a large part of their season does rely on this fella, Ollie Watkins.
Sure.
Look at his numbers this season, 24 goal involvements in 28 games. That's all competitions.
Has he got more assists than goals in the league?
Yeah, he's got 10 assists, 9 goals. It's unbelievable, man. He's hitting some crazy numbers.
So he's contributing some way to a goal every game.
Yes, I mean, and if you do it by, I like to do it by minutes, Sava, because I think minutes is a better indication. Sure. If you do 1, 7, 6, 3 minutes by 19, yeah, a goal involvement every 92 minutes.
Oh, mate. So, and the Premier League games are like 100 minutes now.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Listen, look, what I would say about this is this would be the one concern. Their star player is the one concern, right? And obviously that does make sense in my head, that can they lose him to an injury? I'm not, touch wood, I don't want to see any players get injured. But if they do get an injury and he misses the rest of the season, that is what will derail Aston Villa. But all the while, Ollie Watkins is there, and they've got people like Leon Bailey chipping in, Diaby chipping in, John McGinn chipping in. They're going to be there or thereabouts. And the league, for me, isn't strong enough that there's enough teams that will beat Aston Villa. So I think they're gonna be there or thereabouts. And listen, fair play to them. If somebody said you're going to be the second best manager for a year in the league, and the only one you're behind is Pep, you're not doing too bad, are you?
Exactly. They're doing really, really well. So again, guys, they play Everton away this weekend. I'd expect Aston Villa, another away form sometimes is a bit up and down, but it's actually not that bad as people make out if you look at their away form table. But it is an away game. Will they choke or will they get the 3 points? It'll be a huge 3 points if they do get it again. Let us know your thoughts down below on Aston Villa. Where do you see them finishing this season? Do you think that they're in a title race, or for them, is it just about securing that top 4? Let us know down below. Guys, make sure you smash the like and make sure you subscribe as we come on to the final team of the show. A team that's won the league before with the current manager, a team that's won the Champions League, and that is Liverpool. But tough game. Very tough game. I think this is maybe people are writing Bournemouth off a little bit at the moment. It's at Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I've been playing some fantastic football this season. I think they were a little bit slow, weren't they, to get going? And then this manager's really got them. And fair dues to the owner as well on the board, because when they sacked Gary O'Neill, I think it was, including myself, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you sacking him? But it seems like it's worked out for both parties, because obviously Gary O'Neill's cooking at Wolves now. This is an interesting game this Sabbath, Sunday afternoon, 4:30 kickoff. Everyone's looking at this and saying, yeah, Liverpool should win, but they've got injuries. Salah's not there due to AFCON, and Bournemouth, they're in some decent form.
Yeah, Bournemouth listen, I was really, really impressed. Bournemouth came to Spurs 2 weeks ago, and how we beat them 3-1, I'll be brutally honest. Well, I was about to say I don't know. I know because we were more clinical. But they had 24 shots in the game. Now, listen, I'm not stupid enough to think that all 24 shots were glaring misses and opportunities they should have scored. But they got themselves in those positions 24 times at our ground. I was really impressed with how they moved the ball. I was really impressed with their movement and energy. The one thing that's going to let them down, they're not clinical enough. They're not clinical enough. Their two wide men cause us all sorts of problems. As I said, I was really impressed with them, but I think you're going to get at them at the back. And this, for me, I think Liverpool will win this because I think there's a nice little free building between Diaz, Nunes, and Jota. I think there's a nice little free. I think Darwin Nunes. Listen, sorry, I know you didn't ask me about Nunes, but Darwin Nunes for me is an absolute enigma of a footballer. I think on the left, he is a pain in the arse to play against. He's powerful, he's strong, he gets the ball across, he's always involved in the game and you can't switch off. Through the middle, he's not clinical enough. Jota through the middle at the moment, coming from deep, Jota's class. I think what a signing that was. And Diaz has just started in the last 4 or 5 games to start to turn that dial up and find that form of when they first signed him, which is understandable. He had a big injury, the issue with his dad as well, I believe, being kidnapped or whatever that was all about. So I think that front three will take Bournemouth apart. But what they've also got, and I've been really impressed, I've been so impressed by Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones. I've been really, really impressed with them. Everyone was talking all summer about Liverpool's new midfield, and we just assumed it was constantly going to be, we assumed it was going to be Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai. Curtis Jones seems to be getting the nod most games. Really good player for me, should be in the England squad. I think he's a really good footballer, that lad. Harvey Elliott, again, even when not scoring or assisting, like Nunes, pain in the arse. Doesn't give you a minute's peace. So I think Liverpool have got more than enough to go and beat Bournemouth. I'm going to predict that. I think that'll be a 3-1 to Liverpool. I think they've got more than enough.
Okay. I mean, these are Liverpool's fixtures that are coming up. And of course, you've got to remember, they've got no Trent. He's out for a couple of weeks. And Salah's obviously at the AFCON. So it depends when he's going to come back. But he's going to miss a few of these games as well. If we sort of ignore Fulham, because that's a cup game. These two are the ones that stand out for me here, Sava. Chelsea at home, Arsenal away. Now, they could be potentially without Trent for both of these games. Maybe he'll be back for Chelsea. Who knows? Salah will be out for both of them. And of course, they might have a few other injuries here or there. These are if Liverpool win both of these games, then like I said before about City beating Newcastle and the confidence that gives me. If Liverpool win, obviously against Bournemouth, we've got to get past Bournemouth, but then win these two, they're going to be feeling that, hang on a minute, we're 23 games in here, we're top of the table. This is a season we can win another league.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I've always said I think that 3 or 4 games are huge in football. 3 or 4 games can change everything. You can either be in a race or out of a race in the space of 3 games because 9 points is massive. Look, if they beat Chelsea at home and Arsenal away, you're talking about a serious football club here. Listen, I'm not saying they're not serious anyway, but I think those sort of wins take them through to my marker of what a title. Obviously, we've got quite a different opinion on what a title race is. Takes them through to my marker of being at 29, 30 games, being there or thereabouts. That for me is the difference. If you can get to 29, 30 games, 2-3 points within the title chase, 4 points maybe. I think when you get to the stage where you need the team above you to drop 2 games in 8, now you're struggling, right? You're struggling because the top teams going into the last 8 games of the season, realistically, probably won't lose 2 of that 8. Realistically, right? So I think Liverpool have got a real chance there. What Arsenal are they going to be facing? Is it going to be the Arsenal from what they played last week that looked toothless? By then, will they have had an extra month and they're back in some sort of form? And Arsenal can help City in the title race on that front? I don't know. But they've put themselves in a wonderful position. They've lost 1 game of football all season. And that was even that was dubious because that was the game with us, with VAR.
Yeah.
Goals. So, look, hats off to them. And it goes to show that whenever, when I always say, sorry for ranting, but when I always say that football fans are so knee-jerk. Last year, Liverpool dropped off and at the time were 5th or 6th before they went on their really good run at the end of the season. And everyone does that usual, Liverpool are dead, club's finished.
Yeah.
Klopp's gone, they don't rate. And when you sit and you think, come on, man, like, everyone's allowed a dip. Everyone's out of game, and look at them. They've lost
They're
one
back up
in.
there.
They've lost 1 in 20, and if I'm not wrong, the back end of last season, didn't they lose 1 in 13 or something? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure back end of last season. So they've lost like 1 in about 35 league games.
yeah. No, they're in some good form right now, of course. I think the next 3 games for them are crucial. If they can win the next 3 games with the lack of players due to injuries and AFCON and Asian Cup, because obviously Endo's gone as well.
Yeah.
Then I think they'll be looking at this saying, hang on a minute, we can actually do this. We can actually win this league. Because I think at the moment, I think still Liverpool fans are still thinking that City will probably win it. But if they win the next 3, I think they'll start getting the chest out a little bit more and thinking, hang on a minute, we can actually do this. So, yeah, listen, it's going to be intriguing. I think the top 4 race is going to be super exciting come the end of the season. I think the title race is going to be super exciting. That we've got a great Premier League in store. So yeah, I'm buzzing for the second half of the season, man. But yeah, listen, tell us what's going on your channel. Tell us what any shows you got coming up, bro.
Yeah, so obviously me and you are about to do a video now about Tottenham and Man City in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I've got a show at 5 today called the Spurs Friday Throwdown with Sean Butler from Spurs Talk Show. And then Saturday, I'm going to give myself a day of rest. And then Sunday is match day. So lots of content for Spurs versus Man United. So yeah, a few things going on.
Well then, big up for coming on, mate, as always. We'll do this every week, guys. Every Friday, and I'm on Sava's channel on what day is it? Am I on your channel again? Is it Monday or Tuesday?
Mondays.
Mondays. Like you said before, the days just merge into one. So me, Sava, and Judge Moore on Sava's channel, Football Heritage TV, every Monday. So make sure you come and check that out. After this week of football, it's going to be a big show, man, because obviously some big fixtures this weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, obviously give us your comments down below. Let us know what you thought about the conversation about where we spoke about some of these teams. Please make sure you hit the like button. That really helps support the channel grow. Make sure you are subscribed. Football Heritage, link in the description and a title. And guys, I'll catch you next week.